I am late, and I know I'm late with my Q1 reading wrap up, but we're just gonna have to let that slide because I have read so many good books this year. So I'm gonna do my Q1.5 reading wrap up. Since I have somewhat 20 books to go through, I'm gonna do a more rapid fire version of it. So I'm gonna go through them and I'm gonna tell you if I thought they were underhyped, appropriately hyped, or overhyped. I'm also a person that hates knowing too much about a book before I read it. I like going into a book completely blind. I feel like I have the best reading experience when I do that. So I'm not gonna tell you that much about the books either. What you can expect from me is knowing the vibe and knowing if it's worth your time. This is also how I rate my books, and I know that I rate my books a little bit differently from other people, but I just think this gives me more room and more variety in how I rate my books, so take it or leave it. As for my reading stats for Q1.5, I read a lot of books with different moods, but my main 3 moods this Q1.5 is adventurous, dark, and emotional. And basically all of these books will be somehow dark. I also do listen to a lot of audiobooks, so my print versus audio is basically 50-50, and as for this period, my print was 57% and my audio was 43%. I'm also going to include one soft DNF in this video because I almost never DNF a book, and when I do, I tend to soft DNF them first. So I'm going to include the one soft DNF I have. I've rambled enough, so let's start with my January reads. The first book I finished in January was actually as late as January the 20th, and that was the second book in the Mistborn trilogy by Sanderson, The Well of Ascension. Mistborn is such a good introduction to epic fantasy. It has a really good, unique magic system. I've never read something similar to the magic system in the Mistborn trilogy, and I'm absolutely in love with it. It's adventurous, it's a little bit mysterious, it's a little bit of romance. It is kind of medium paced, but I feel like it reads more slow, especially for me that is not that used to reading books like Sanderson writes. But I am really enjoying Mistborn, and I can't wait to start the 3rd book in the series. I actually read the prologue of the 3rd book in a bookstore because I was waiting for my boyfriend. Well, I was waiting for my boyfriend, and I was like, oh, I need to go home right now and start the 3rd book, because what was that? To be honest, I feel like Mistborn is a little bit underhyped. If you're on the epic side of fantasy on BookTok and TikTok and YouTube, you have probably heard about Mistborn so much. But I feel like as a romantasy, dark romance girly, I hadn't heard about Mistborn that much. And I just feel like if you like reading, if you like bigger, more epic, more out there books, Mistborn is definitely something you should pick up. Maybe it is appropriately hyped. I'm not on the side of BookTok, BookTube, Bookstagram, where I actually hear that much about the book, but maybe it is appropriately hyped. It is underhyped for me, okay? It is underhyped for me. I feel like Mistborn needs more hype. More people need to read Sanderson, and I need more of my friends to read Sanderson because I need to talk about this book with anyone other than my boyfriend. This was gonna be a short thing, and I just keep rambling, and I'm on the first fucking book. This is gonna be such a long video. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna try and keep it short, okay? I'm gonna try and keep it short. I think we're landing on appropriately hyped with a little bit of underhypedness of it all. Is that a word? Underhypedness? I don't know. English is my main language. That's fine. Next book. At the end of January, I had such a bad flu. I have not been that ill since maybe COVID. Maybe I had COVID. Anyway, I had no energy to watch anything on the TV because it was too loud, so I needed something easy to read. So I picked up a duology that I have had on my bookshelf for maybe 3 years, and I finally read it. And oh my god, it was the perfect time for me to read it. And that was These Hollow Vows and These Twisted Bonds by Lexi. I have not seen anything about these books for years. And yeah, they're a little bit YA, but honestly, this is giving me original peak romantasy vibes. I finished both books in 3 days, like together in 3 days. And I normally don't do that anymore because I am such a slow reader, and I just like taking longer when I read a book because I feel like my brain actually computes what I'm reading. This duology is giving me so much vibes of ACOTAR, like the original romantasy vibes, and I loved it. It was adventurous and mysterious, and the tension in these 2 books, oh my god. I was kicking my feet. With the little amount of energy I had, I was kicking my feet on my couch, and they were perfect because since they're YA, they're a little bit easier to read, a little bit simpler in how it's written. The story and the plot and the fantasy elements of it is also so much easier and can remind more of a low fantasy. Even though we're not on Earth, we have the Unseelie and the Seelie court, so we're back to those kind of vibes, and I just loved it. I feel like this series is definitely underhyped. I haven't seen anyone talk about this series. I didn't see anyone talk about this series a few years ago either, but I just know that I read these books at the perfect time. And if you are new to fantasy, I would definitely recommend reading this series because it's simple, it's easy to understand, and it's also super fast, and it is just 2 books. 2 books and you're done. I'm in the middle of so many long series, so reading a duology sometimes it's just so nice. The War of Two Queens is actually a reread. This is the 3rd time I'm rereading this book and this series in general because I just keep forgetting small important things, so I keep rereading it every single time I'm starting a new book in the series, which also reminds me that I never did finish the series. I need to go and change my May TBR because the next book in the series has to be on it. Fuck. This is actually my least favorite book in the whole From Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Every single time I read this book, I struggle with getting through it. However, this is the most emotional book in the series up until now that I've read. I was sobbing in this book multiple times because the way I'm connected to these characters at this point is just like, they're my friends, okay? They're my friends and they're my family, and I love every single character in this book. Maybe not every single character, but most of them. I love them. I love them. If you want a strong ass FMC, you have to read From Blood and Ash. The way the main character in this book is developing throughout the series is just so good. This is definitely a darker fantasy. It's also a fantasy with a lot of creatures, a lot of lore. It is more world building and more intricate world building than ACOTAR, than even Throne of Glass and Fourth Wing. So if you're not used to that, it can be a little bit difficult to get into. She actually has a whole compendium for the series, but you're not supposed to read that until after book 5 of the From Blood and Ash series because it spoils like everything. Is it overhyped, underhyped, or appropriately hyped though? I actually think that From Blood and Ash is severely underhyped. I don't see enough people talking about this series. I don't see enough people reading this series, and I feel like no one is obsessed with me. You know, that was all of my January reads. But to be fair, since I finished the first book in January on January the 20th, I feel like 4 books a month is actually really good. But let's not ramble anymore. Let's go straight into February. Since we're first in the From Blood and Ash universe, I also read A Light in the Flame, which is the 2nd book in the Flesh and Fire series. Also a reread. This is the 2nd time I read this, I think. Maybe it is the 3rd actually. Maybe it is the 3rd. I can't remember. This is such a good book. I've only read the 3 first books in the Flesh and Fire series, and I think this is my favorite of them all. It's just like dark and emotional and funny, and the tension in this book is to like, you can touch it. Oh my god, my nose is running. Fucking hay fever. I said that I think From Blood and Ash is severely underhyped. If it's anything that's more underhyped, it's the Flesh and Fire series. The storyline in this book is kind of similar to the From Blood and Ash series, but in a way that I feel like is more well written, it's more thought through, and I feel like the characters are more nuanced. So yeah, definitely underhyped as well. I do have to continue this series right now because the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, oh, I want to go back. I want to go back into this universe. The 2nd book I read in February was such a switch around from everything else that I had read up until then, and that was Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wang. The way I uncontrollably sobbed at the ending of this book, I don't even know why I sobbed. I was just sobbing. This is such an impactful book. It touches so many themes like racism, feminism, classism, and so many other things that I'm just like, to write something like this in a high fantasy world where you have such a unique magic system, you literally have a typograph that is your entire magic system. I was struggling a little bit with the book in the beginning because it is a little bit slow. It is a little bit info dumpy, but it's info dumpy in a way that works because you have a student teacher kind of way of introducing the magic system. I haven't seen that many people talk about Blood Over Brighthaven. I have seen a few people talk about it, but I feel like it's definitely underhyped. And if you like books that touch upon modern daily world problems, then Blood Over Brighthaven is definitely for you. It's dark, it's emotional, it's tense, it's a good fantasy with a good unique magic system, and it's also medium to fast paced. I feel like the story flows really well, and there was also a romance subplot in this book that I absolutely adored. Even though this book is a little bit out of my normal typical reads, I really like this book. And I also think that Blood Over Brighthaven isn't like anything else I've written. I don't write books. And I also think that Blood Over Brighthaven isn't like anything else I've read. And now we're getting to the good part. I think I have found my new favorite series. I am like, this beats ACOTAR straight out the window. This is beating Fourth Wing for me straight out the window. I have 1 book left in the series. I've read up until now 5 books in the series, and I am just postponing starting the 6th and last book in the series because I don't want the series to end. I have rated every single book in this series over 4 stars. and I've also rated one of them 6 stars. And that series is a Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy. And the first book in the series is Gild. And I just knew when I picked up Gild that I was going to be hooked on this series from the start. I was in such a reading slump when I found this series, and it was one of those books where I literally found it at the bookstore, and I sat down at the cafe in the bookstore and I started the book and I finished the book the day after. It's not that thick, so like it is doable. But again, I'm a slow reader and the book is 389 pages, so like it is doable to do it in a day. But normally for me that is not doable, but with this one, yes, it was. And I started book 2 immediately after. There wasn't even a stop in between putting book 1 down and picking book 2 up. This is severely underhyped. I don't see anyone talking about this series, and I don't understand why. Yes, it is a little bit darker than maybe you want your normal fantasy romantasy to be, but this is a dark fantasy romance. The characters are so well written. I have never, ever in my life hated a character more than I hate one of the characters in this series. I absolutely detest this character. I'm getting mad just talking about this character, and that is how much I hate this character. And I also love characters in this book. The main character, Oren, oh my god. Oren quickly became one of my favorite FMCs just from this book alone. But as I continued reading the series, oh my god. But yeah, as I said, this is dark, it's gritty, it's sexy, it's funny, it's devastating. It's like literally everything I want in a book series. I'm a dark romance girly, and this is giving me dark romance MMCs and dark romance vibes. I don't think I've read another series that I've had so many strong reactions as I've had in this series, except for Throne of Glass. And that is saying something, because Throne of Glass has been my favorite series for years now. And because I love this series so much, I'm gonna quickly go through every single book and what I thought about them. Glint is the second book in the series, and I finished this in 2 or 3 days because I had some stuff that I needed to do and I couldn't just read all the time, even though I wanted to. I rated the first book higher than I rated the second book, but I think I liked this the same amount or even a tiny bit more than I did the first book in the series. Gleam is the third book, and I have to say that I struggled a little bit with this book, but only for one reason and one reason alone, and that is because this book is stiff as a brick. While the 2 first books were floppy, this one was not, and it's also way thicker than the other ones. So I was just like struggling to hold the book after reading tons of floppy books before this book. So yeah, I was struggling a little bit more with this book because it wasn't floppy. And that's okay, you know? And I didn't say this earlier, but if you like a slow romance that actually pays off, this series is also something for you, because I am sick and tired of romantasy books giving me the love interest in the first book and then having them together by the middle of the first book. I'm like, where is the yearning? Where is the slow burn? I want more slow burn. Bring slow burn and yearning back, please. That is also one of the reasons I prefer YA fantasy, because you have the yearning, you have the slow burn. I feel like you don't. Oh my god, my brightness. Okay, hi. Yeah, we can't work with this. Oof, the sun just came out. Well, not oof, because I haven't seen the sun in months, so I'm not gonna complain about the sun being here, but the sun is ruining my shot, so we're just gonna roll with it. So sorry for that. But yeah, bring back yearning, bring back slow burn, because it is so much better than what we're given today. I am sick and tired of romantasy being just enemies to lovers and giving me the enemies to lovers, and then the enemies to lovers isn't even enemies. It's just like a teeny tiny teensy bit of hate, and the hate that's there isn't even hate. It's just like, oh, you said something mean to me, I hate you. And I'm like, no, if you're giving me enemies to lovers, they need to be fucking enemies, okay? I want the trying to unalive each other enemies, not this soppy excuse of enemies to lovers we're given nowadays. Sorry, that was a rant completely unrelated to the series, but anyhow, yeah, slow burn. It has it all. I did read both Glow and Gold in April, but we're gonna include them since we're already on the topic of the series. I was having the same issue with Glow as I was having with Gleam. It is a 700 pages long book that is stiff as a brick, and my wrists were hurting. But this is such a good book. Oh my god. I think I seriously read the last 40% of the book in one sitting. And since it's over 700 pages long, 40% of the book is actually a lot of fucking pages. And in one sitting, I didn't do anything. I just like read because it was so intense. But if I thought this book was good, this is my 6-star read. Oh my god. She's floppy again. So it's just like meant to be that this was gonna be my 6-star read in this series. I literally have no notes on this book. Pacing was perfect. The plot was perfect. The execution of the plot was perfect. The characters, the way they have developed in this book. Oh my god. There is nothing I didn't like about this book. Like literally nothing I didn't like. And I normally, oh my god, can the lighting fucking fuck off? Please? Just like be sunny or be cloudy. I can't deal. I'm sorry. I need to readjust my camera again. It's gonna be just my luck that the sun is gonna come out in like 2 seconds, but we're gonna try this. But yeah, I have no notes on this book. It was just like everything was perfectly executed in this book. And I also think that this book might be the highest rated one in the series. Okay, so this is not the highest rated book in the series, but it's a higher rated book in the series for me, okay? So that's all that counts. Because reading is subjective, so everyone likes different things. I think I'm gonna just like not ramble anymore, and I'm just gonna say that this is a 6-star read and it's severely underhyped. This whole series is severely underhyped, and I can't wait to start the last book in the series, even though I have to wait because I don't want it to end. So that was all of the books I read in February, and then we come to March, and March is very uneventful. I was very much in my reading slump again in March. I read one book, and that is also one of the reasons I didn't do a Q1 wrap up in March, because I only read one book. So yeah, without rambling anymore, the one book I read in March was Caught Up by Navessa, basically in preparation for the next book, Game On. It was supposed to come out like a day after I finished the book, and do you think I read Game On? No, I haven't. But I did finish Caught Up, and I did actually really enjoy it. Not as much as Lights Out. Lights Out was so good that this was a little bit of a disappointment, to be honest. I did, however, feel like I rushed it a little bit because I was trying to read it before Game On came out. I should have just eased up on myself and just enjoyed it more. I'm gonna be so for real, I can't remember that much from it. The only thing I remember is that Teddy Hamilton is a male narrator and that Casey Hollowell is the female narrator in the audiobook. And I love both of them, and that is the only reason why I remember that, you know? But the book in itself is good. I feel like, however, it is a little bit overhyped, especially because I feel like people just hype it up because Lights Out was so good. And yes, Lights Out was good, but Caught Up is a little bit overhyped. I don't feel like Navessa hit the mark that well as she did with Lights Out. Lights Out was funny in I was lying in my bed cackling kind of way, and this was just like trying to live up to that and not actually succeeding that well. That said, I am very intrigued about Game On, even though I haven't started it yet. I have it, it's ready, I have the tabs and everything. I just like haven't been in a mood for this, and I'm kind of saving it for when I know that I'm in a mood for like a short, fast-paced, smutty book. That tower is gonna fall over. I think we need to build a second tower. And as you know, that was all of March, so let's just go straight to April. Since we're on dark romance, I'm just gonna start with these two mafia dark romance books. His Reckless Obsession and His Ruthless Deception by Zane were actually really fun. I love a good mafia romance, especially when you have it as an interconnected standalone series as this. It's dark and it's funny and it's sexy, and I feel like these books are definitely underhyped. I haven't seen anyone else actually talking about them. I might not be on the right side of the book community anymore because I rarely read mafia romance anymore. Since it's a mafia romance, they're also very action-packed, and I really like that. And I really liked how, especially FMC in the first book was, she was just like strong and independent, and then we met the second FMC, which was a little bit more timid and sweet and caring, which was a really fine balance between the two. I forgot to include this when I was talking about the Flesh and Fire series because honestly I forgot that I read it. A Fire in the Flesh by Jennifer L. Armentrout is the third book in the Flesh and Fire series, and I'm not going to ramble on about this book because I feel like I said everything I needed to say about the Flesh and Fire series when I was talking about this earlier in the video, so let's just continue with the next one. We're actually nearing the end of this wrap up. This is a series as well, and I'm just gonna quickly go through them. The Bonds That Tie by J. Bree. This is the first book, Broken Bonds, and oh my god, I love the audiobooks of these books. I am literally devouring the audiobooks every single time I'm reading the series. It's a dark Y2's low fantasy series, and I'm as obsessed with it as I was the first time I read it. This is also severely underhyped in my opinion because I don't see enough people talking about this. More people need to know about this series, especially if you're a Y2's girly. This is like, it is 1 female and 5 guys, not the food chain. I only have 2 friends that I know have read the entire series, and they also love it. Also, these covers are gorgeous. I love the artist that has done these covers, and I fucking love them. They're just like so pretty. So for the last book I finished in April, we have Direbound by Sable Sorensen. I started this book thinking, okay, it is definitely gonna be overhyped. It is definitely gonna be a typical romantasy as we see in the publishing industry now, where it's like super fast paced and everything is going quickly and the plot is full of plot holes, yada yada yada. But I am pleasantly surprised. I really like this book actually. I think the direwolf concept of the book was really refreshing, and I feel like I've been in need of a not fae romantasy book for a long time. That being said, I did predict every single thing happening in this book. There was nothing that surprised me about this book. And I know that when I read, I have this weird ability to see how the book is gonna go before I even read the first chapter. When I finished chapter 1, I was like, okay, I think I know where this book is gonna go. And I did. I did, however, rate it 4.25 stars. So I did like it, I did enjoy it, and I did want to pick it up. I didn't want to do anything other than reading this book. So I did enjoy the book. The vibes were there. The story was there. And as I said, it was a little bit refreshing. So I definitely really enjoyed the book. But again, I could predict every single thing that happened in this book, so I don't know if that makes the book bad or if it makes me a good reader. I don't know. I don't want to say that I'm a good reader, but I do know that I've predicted insane things in other series that people are like, how the hell did you see that coming? And I'm like, how the hell did you not? Based on that, I think I will have to say that this book is a little bit overhyped. I went into this thinking it would be revolutionary. I was thinking it was going to be an easy 5-star read. There was also a few times where the similarities between other books I've read were too big, and I was just like, oh, this is just a straight copy from that book or from that TV show or from that movie, but also not necessarily in a bad way. Also, I just realized that I finished this in May, so I finished it on May 2nd, so it's fine. We're not going to talk about it. I do, however, appreciate how the romance is done in this book because it was not as I expected it to be. That was like the only surprise I had in this book, because in the beginning of the book I was like, oh, okay, so this is how we're gonna do it. But then when I knew that, I also saw how that was gonna go. So do with that information as you want. If you're like a reader that predicts a lot of things when you read, maybe this book for you will be more like the way I had it. But if you're a person that doesn't see anything coming, even if it's like staring you down, then maybe you'll enjoy this book a lot. I'm very tired of talking right now, and my camera is also about to die, so we're gonna just quickly touch upon my soft DNF book, and that is Brimstone. Ooh. It hurts to say, because Quicksilver was one of the easiest 5-star reads I've ever given. I've talked a little bit about it before. I'm just struggling. I'm struggling with the POV changes. I'm struggling with the pacing of the book, and I'm struggling with the plot of the book. I'm just like struggling with the book in itself. The writing is good, the spice is good, and the characters are also good. It just like, it combined isn't working for me. And it hurts me to say it because this was one of my most anticipated reads for 2026. And I asked around, and apparently a few other people have found Brimstone to be a little bit of a snooze fest. At least I know I'm not alone. I feel like Brimstone is definitely overhyped, because a few reviews I have seen of Brimstone, everyone was like raving about it and everyone was talking about it when it came out. But to be fair, I haven't seen anything about it. I've seen stuff about Quicksilver still, but I haven't seen anything about Brimstone. And I'm like, is that because we're not spoiling Brimstone for the people that haven't read Quicksilver yet? Or is it because people actually didn't enjoy Brimstone that much? If you have read Brimstone, please let me know in the comments your thoughts about this, because I'm struggling a little bit to figure out if I'm keeping it in the soft DNF pile or if I'm actually fully DNFing it. This was such a fun video to make. I haven't done a reading wrap up in a long time because, as I said in the beginning of the video, I have been in a reading slump for a long time, and I'm finally feeling like I am reading normally again. Not as much as I used to do, but I'm reading at a pace where I'm enjoying the books I'm reading. I'm finding more 5-star reads, and I'm actually enjoying the book when I'm reading the book, as of a year ago where I was literally just reading a book and I was like, okay, I know that I should like this, but I'm just blah. Next time I do this, summer would have passed, and I just know that I'm gonna be reading tons of romance this summer. I literally came home from London with so many books. So many books. I'm on a book buying ban. If you want to see a haul of that, please also let me know in the comments, because there's a lot to go through, and there's a lot of spring reads and summer reads that I'm so excited to read. Hopefully I haven't rambled your ears off. If you like these type of videos, please let me know in the comments, and also let me know what your favorite book from January to April was, because even though I have a huge TBR, I'm always on the lookout for new books to read and new series to enjoy and just devour. Make sure to like and make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!